the reason why people get poor sometimes is that they're not really knowledgeable. This knowledge will come from two different angles. How does money work? How do you make money? How do you manage money? How do you multiply money? Again, beyond just learning, you have to understand the future of work, yeah? We're moving very fast. It pains me when I see people talking about AI and saying things like it's occultic. Even when they have a question, my style, I was asking her, Daddy used to say, be yourself, be yourself. What is be yourself? What if yourself is bad?
Local stories, global insights. This is the Oyagistme Podcast.
Oya now, we dey come.
Hello there, and welcome to the Oyagistme Podcast, where real talk meets real time. I am Meglina Otu.
And I am Ekanem. You can call me M.
And together we're your hosts for the Oyagistme Podcast. And on this episode of the show, we're talking about a very controversial topic that sparks a lot of conversations between people. And it is mindset over money, unlearning poverty mentality, and building a life that blends wealth, wellness, and purpose.
Oof, sounding like a mouthful.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But it's a very important topic that we definitely need to talk about. And today, to help us break it all down, we have we have someone with us today. She's a sales guru, an executive leadership coach, and she's definitely a mentor to so many people. To help us give a warm Oyagistme welcome to Miracle Obuba Emmanuel. Okay.
You're welcome on board, ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
And you look beautiful as well.
Thank you.
I'm more like you're ready.
She's my color.
Abby.
So now we're fighting for these four colors now on this show. I don't understand it, man. What's going on?
I'm just saying that it's good to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so let's get right into the discussion of today.
Exactly.
Let's get to the root. So let's start from the root problem. I feel like a lot of people are busy walking around with, should I say, poverty mentality or scarcity mentality, all in the name of being prudent. So let's talk about that. What exactly is poverty mentality? How would you describe that?
Okay, the truth here is that a lot of us have been groomed with this conditioning of how life works. So you basically go to school, get an education, then you have to get a job, and then you get into the grind and the hustle of everyday bustle of Nigeria, especially we're in Nigeria here. So how this works is that because of this constant hustle to make money, people would go to any lengths, take up gigs, take up jobs that would ordinarily not be something that they're passionate about or want to do just because they want to make money. So it's important for us to understand and spread the narrative of walking in your purpose, right? Because when you do that, you're a lot more grounded and you're a lot more excellent because it's something that resonates with you. So when you produce the work that gets you the pay, you're fulfilled in yourself for the paycheck, and you're also grounded in your personality. Like you're literally following your personal prototype. You're not aligning to any stereotype of having to go work for someone just because you want to make some money. So the area, I know the whole purpose talk, it's really super broad. That's not what we're talking about today. But the important thing to know is at every point, whatever it is you're doing, be present, be excellent. Because purpose is not static. It's progressive and it changes with time. So for me, I'm a mom, I'm a business development management consultant. I do a lot of things. So when I'm at home making food for my family, that's me fulfilling purpose in that moment. When I'm in the office, that's me fulfilling purpose. I'm also a person of faith. And the way that I see it is that if I do my work is part of my worship to God. It's not just that you're working, because every single work you put down has a way of answering someone else's prayer. So I'm working in an organization. My CEO has a prayer to get a lot more market share. So when I do my job correctly, that happens. His prayers are answered. It's glorifying God. It's my worship. When I do sales training, coaching for the sales executives and members of the team, they want to make more sales. They want someone to tell them, how does this work? It's my worship. It's my work. That way they are able to learn. That way they're able to get results that they've been praying for. So that's basically what it is. It's not that there's going to be one particular thing that's your purpose. It's just that when you're doing it, you do it in a way that really keeps you grounded, in a way that the paycheck you're getting is justified. you're able to say, okay, this is what is beyond just the money.
Yeah.
The mindset is important. The motive is important. And even the methods with which you get this done, super important.
That actually hints us to talking about mindset over money. You talked about, I loved what you said. You talked about being present, all the time, and all of that to actually get your purpose in line. So what would you say about mindset over money? That particular word or that sentence in itself, like mindset over money. When I heard it, I was like, okay, mindset over money. Some people say money over mindset, or money is a mindset. So how will you put that? Is it supposed to be? Of course, it should be mindset before money, but I don't understand. Like when it has to it, I don't know if you can hint on that.
Okay, it's great that we are on the Oya Now podcast. So I'm going to give a little story.
Okay.
The first job I got in the city of Abuja in 2018 was at Oya Now.
Oh wow!
Yes,
Wow.
I was customer service rep at Oya Now, and because it was a startup, we were just starting. Of course, the pay was not going to be so fantastic, but I knew I was privileged to understand what I was meant to do in life, and I knew that there had to be steps to get there, right? I didn't have to just get hired by some multinational and start making big bucks immediately, because my salary was also really relatively interesting. So in the first month, they said they were going to pay me, you know how they say when you're on probation, they give you half salary, yeah? So they gave me that half salary. And interesting, they started on the 23rd of the month. But by the time the salary was paid for that month, I got the half salary. But that was the last time I got the half salary, because I did great work. And by the next month, I got my full pay. I didn't even have to do the 3 months probation anymore. And by the time it started in April, by September, I was already in business development. I was already earning much more. So this is it. If I had the mindset of, I want to make so much money, I wouldn't have taken that job. I would have said, the pay isn't so great. What's it going to do for me? But because I understood and I put the mindset of growth above making money, I was able to get into the system, and I learned a lot. And again, it was a system that allowed me to grow very rapidly. I was, it's one thing that you're in an organization where you're working, and it's another thing that you actually see some of the inputs you make at the meetings being reflected on the job you're doing. So it's like you're being listened to. You believe in the impact of the work you're doing. Even as a customer service rep, you can literally be heard. You give maybe an input or a suggestion, and it makes sense enough for them to tweak it just a little bit more and just make it work. And you can literally come to work every day and see something you spoke about and it's being implemented. It gives you that sense of ownership, right? So you're not just working as, I'm just customer service rep. Let me just take the calls. Because you have to understand that when you're taking those calls, the customers who are ordering from the app and all of that, you're servicing them. You're making sure, okay, someone has an emergency. Her son doesn't have food, and she's trying to make sure food gets to the son. That's a good way to make sure that happens. You've answered that woman's prayer in your own way. You didn't have to pay for the food, but you made sure that order went through. So that's basically what it is. You have to have that right mindset that allows you to make the money you're trying to make. And of course, again, if the mindset is not right, if the motive is not right, and then the methods are not right, you're still going to fail. You may make quick cash, but it's not going to be sustainable.
Okay, wow.
I've been lectured.
A lot about
motive, mindset,
so basically
meeting
it's
everything.
much more than the income.
Of course it is.
It's
Just
much
the
more than
income.
income. Yes.
So we're still talking about, let's still a bit to the poverty mentality here. Can you tell us some signs that we can see to know that someone is operating from a poverty mindset?
All right. So when it comes to poverty, again, it's of the mind, It's beyond, I don't have physical cash in my bank and all of that. And you find out that the reason why people get poor sometimes is that they're not really knowledgeable. Okay, first off, money, we're talking about money, That's finances. And this knowledge will come from two different angles. How does money work? How do you make money? How do you manage money? How do you multiply money? Again, the second knowledge angle would be, what is my credibility? What are my competencies? What do I know that I can do that's going to be valuable to get this money?
Yeah.
So when you're running blind, you can obviously not make money. And that's the first poverty mindset.
Wow.
So you're stuck in that cycle of going back and forth. You don't have a good knowledge base. It's either you know little of something, you don't have adequate knowledge of that thing to really make the best out of it. I studied agricultural economics and extension in school, and they usually say things like, the farther you are from the soil, the more money you make. Now, I could go and just be a regular farmer, but I do not have sufficient knowledge of agriculture and all the other value chains I could go through to make more money. So it means I'm going to be limited. And when I get my stuff, the produce to the farm gates, people are going to pay me peanuts to get it, even though I had told the hardest. So that knowledge, when you're able to bridge that knowledge gap, it has a way of just helping you become better. You understand how to make this money. You understand the value chain in whatever sector you're operating in. Now, this applies to every sector because it builds your credibility. It helps to make sure that you're seen and the value that you're bringing to the table can be paid for. Because it's one thing for it to be valuable, it's another thing for someone to actually find it valuable enough to pay. So another thing that happens is that sometimes people don't understand what value is. They don't understand what value is. They think just because I like this thing, then everybody should. So I could say that, oh, this dress is very beautiful, so I want to sell it. Am I the only one thinking it's beautiful? Are there other people who think it's beautiful? So I could put it up and feel like, it's beautiful, it's going to sell out. And then it doesn't. Why? Because it's valuable to me. But the thing about value is that it has to be refined around, when it comes to money though, it has to be refined around a sector or collection of people who want it. So it's value because it's needed, because it's useful. And you have to also clarify for yourself, who is it useful to, and target those people. Just like people that say they come on Instagram and they want to sell every single day. You make noise, you post, you dance, and you don't make sales. Why? You're literally speaking to the whole world.
You don't have a target audience.
You don't have a target audience. So you have to
with.
make sure that you understand who your target audience is. You understand who your customer segment is. And when you're speaking straight to them. I once sold bags and jewelries, and in the first few months when I was selling, because I was at home, I was having my first child at the time, so I took a break from work, and I would just come on Instagram, I'll post every day, and nothing was happening until I had to. I think I went through some sales classes at the time, and then I realized, okay, I had to really come down to a particular set of people who are the kind of people that like the kind of bags I'm selling. And I've been working in corporate here, so I always had all those regular big chic bags and jewelries, not the regular, maybe when they say couture earrings, not those loud ones. So I had to realize, okay, these are my customer, my target audience, and I began to call them out. So that value wasn't just refined, it was also set in a way that met the people who could reward the value, because that is how the money comes.
I like how you said reward the value.
Okay, so while you were speaking, I picked a lot of things. During your introduction, you said you're a mother of 3, and then you're able to meddle up things for yourself. Finding your purpose and doing what you're supposed to do as your service to humanity and what you are supposed to do. And then you mentioned something about God too. But then, how do you build a life that blends wealth, wellness, and purpose? Because I think, a lot of people have different things to say when it comes to that, different challenges. They feel, how am I supposed to do this and this and this? How do I now couple everything together? I used to say women are really very, very strong vessels because they carry a lot. I don't know about the men. We're not actually being based on gender now, but it's just a lot you've spoken about, and I really admire everything you've said. So how do you build a life that blends with purpose, wellness, and wealth together?
All right, so I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
And when it comes to myself, I think the first thing you have to do is to understand who you are.
Okay.
Your identity is the first thing to take care of when you want to live a grounded life. Because if you don't know who you are, there's a very big possibility that you're going to be tossed around by different trends that come around. Because, okay, that's the one that's raining now. Okay, let's go there. Okay, that's the one. So you have to know first who you are. And because, again, I'm a person of faith, whose you are, because you didn't create yourself. Someone created you. So I think that's the first thing. So when you have that understanding of your identity, then you have to have a vision of what you want. you can't run blind again, because that vision is what keeps you grounded. That vision is what, like, you know what you're looking for, you know where you're looking at, you know where you're aiming to get to. So if I want to do something right now, I ask myself, how is it aligned with my long-term vision? How is this going to impact my future? I mean, I can't obviously go online to twerk. It's I don't know, it's just not, it doesn't work.
It doesn't align at all.
It doesn't align at all.
Yeah.
There's so many things I obviously cannot do.
Yeah.
Not because they are not doable. Sometimes it may not even be something necessarily so bad. It just does not align with where you're going. And when you have that vision, the Bible says, as far as your eyes can see. So when you can see it, it means that anything you do has to be working in alignment with that vision.
Yeah.
And that also means that you have to also understand what your value system is. Where do you draw the line on the things you do? You can't just just like I said. So let's assume that you're doing a gig and then they say, oh, this has to be done this way so we can make more money. And of course, again, your principles will guide how you make those decisions, because it's still from your value system. You say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to sit this one out. I honestly cannot do this. Some people tell you, I'm going to use politicians for an example. Politicians tell you, we're doing politics, we're trying to get the economies together. So sometimes you may have to use force, sometimes you may have to do it amicably. You as a person, even if you're in that environment, you have to decide for yourself, where do I draw the line? And sometimes it will also guide you from getting into certain spaces where you know you would not align, because it doesn't make sense to get into those spaces and then when they're doing something, you're now chilling back or now trying to relegate to the background or not trying to absorb yourself, when you could have just from the very first go said no. And that was what, bringing us back to what we said in the beginning. People would literally do things that they do not resonate with just because they want to make money.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
So it's important that you have your identity sorted, you have a vision that's glaring, that you know you're working towards. That's what's going to help you know what courses you want to do. That's what, I know this is Nigeria. Yeah, some of us studied all these courses that parents made us study.
At the end of the day, we're not even using them. We're not working with them.
But of course, when you get to a certain level in your life, you're not going to be tied down by such things anymore.
True.
It's time for you to chart your own personal path. So you can now even decide, okay, even if you don't go back to the university, there's tons of courses you can do to get yourself into whatever system, industry you want to get into. So that's what keeps you in your purpose. Now, when it comes to wellness, rest is very important. I know that there's a very big bias when people talk about soft life, working from home. Productivity is the most important thing. As long as you're being productive, that's the most important thing. So you have to align it with how it works for your own unique personality. You have to understand your chronotype. For me, I'm a night person. If I had all the foreign gigs in the world that, it's their daytime at that time, at earning all dollars in the world, right? I could do my jobs at night and just have the time to sleep. But guess what? It can't even happen for me. Why? Because I'm a mom. I've got three children. So I have to wake up early, school runs. So again, it's not going to be so easy and straightforward the way you want it to be. There's still going to be a lot of, you're going to make a lot of excuses for people. You're going to really just shut down certain things to make what's more important work. So at this phase of my life, again, you have to understand times and seasons, because everything cannot happen at the same time. True. There's time for everything. So imagine, just like you see somebody who's suddenly everywhere online and when did this person come up? Oh, this is a new sensation. No, it's not always like that. The person has probably spent the past 3 to 4 or 5 years being trained, building in silence, and then all of a sudden it seems like, oh, this person just blew up. No. So you that's just what you do. You live in your purpose, you ensure your wellness, you find out what works for you. Okay, I'm a night person, but because I have children, I can't do my night thing anymore. I have to find a way to force myself to sleep at night so that in the morning I'm fresh, I'm sharp, I'm able to take care of my kids, and then I get my work done. Right. And then again, because time is of the essence, you can't make more time, but you can obviously multiply your time. If you're able to get help, you get help. If you're able to outsource things for people to do, delegate as much as possible. I mean, you can't do everything by yourself, and there's nobody who's going to win the award for being the most hardworking mother. I mean, the children will tear you apart. You come back from work, they would, mommy this, mommy that. You have to respond to them and as calmly as possible. We African, we African
So-
mothers, you have to find a way to just be grounded enough to respond. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect or anything, because I have my moments where I'm like, see, just leave me alone.
True.
Mommy
Yeah.
has to rest.
Mommy has to rest.
Mommy has to. So even them need to understand,
Yeah.
because even though they're children, they're very smart. They understand these things.
Children
I
think
remember-
we're
yeah,
super,
yeah.
superhuman.
I remember one time I used to work from home for a period of time. They understood that if I sat at my desk in my workspace, I was working. They come to the door. In fact, it was so funny because they always want to disturb you. So imagine a 2-year-old knocking and then saying something like, "Mommy, are you working?" And I'm, "Oh, you knew that I'd been working. You came and knocked, but you're now asking me, are you working?" And then you get a situation where I come out maybe for air or maybe I want to drink water. And they're like, "Mommy, are you done working?" So they understand. They see these things. You create a routine for them. You make out time for them again, because if you stay on it, you wouldn't have time. But if you can just make out that time to rest, to understand yourself, to do what you need to do part time for your own personality, for your own vision, for your own value system, that's how you stay grounded. That's how you're able to combine your purpose, your wellness, and your wealth.
Wow. That's really great. I've been lectured though.
Actually,
there are, okay.
Yeah.
No, let you go first.
Actually, okay, so I actually want to ask you this. Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about wellness, balancing out, making
Poverty mentality.
exactly. We've talked about that. But let's talk more about you now, like your own,
Me?
your mindset evolution. Like, did you always think this way?
All right. I was raised by a very interesting set of parents. My dad is a civil engineer. My mom is a medical practitioner.
Yeah.
And we had a very interesting childhood.
Yeah.
So we always taught the right values from the get-go. So I'd like to say I'm privileged. But because, again, I'm a creative, I'm a very curious person, I obviously explored a lot growing up. But there's something about when they say train up a child in the way he should go, he will depart from it. So even no matter how you explore, that sounding board of what has been laid as a foundation would always be there guide you through it. So I've never been perfect, but I've always been privileged to be taught well and early on in life. So it's basically just guided me. I remember one day having a conversation with my sister. I was asking her, Daddy used to say, be yourself, be yourself. What is be yourself? What if yourself is bad?
Just be yourself.
Very good question.
What if yourself is bad? So be yourself. That means you're allowed to be bad, yeah? But then again, it still brings us back to identity. Because now when you understand who you are, you know that you're not a bad person. You know exactly what it is that God brought you to this world to do. Maybe not completely, but in parts, and through the trainings or the understanding of what you've had in your relationships at life, then you're able to know, okay, this is who I am. That's how you know yourself. Because at that time we were children, it didn't make sense to me. And again, because I was curious and I was very naughty, I was like, be yourself.
Be yourself.
So that means I'm allowed to do bad stuff, yeah? So
I'll just be myself.
so that's it. So I grew up just with all of that training and guidance from the right people. And again, I think another thing that played a very big part in my life is I learned to be humble really early. So because without humility, you can't learn from certain people.
you can't. Yeah.
And without humility, you can't learn from even situations of things that happen around. It's humility that keeps you grounded, and you know that, okay, yeah, I did this thing and I really effed up, yeah? But you can always retrace and say, okay, I did this wrong. If there's someone to apologize to, you can apologize to the person. If there's someone to apologize to, that you can just introspect and say, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is how I can turn it around and do it better next time.
So was there a game-changing mindset shift that changed everything for you at some point in life?
Well, like I said, I think the very first important or say corporate job I got was Oya now. And even at that time of my life, interestingly, I already knew not to prioritize the figures of the money. I already knew to like, okay, just get along with it, you're going to learn. And trust
Gain
me,
experiences
there was
first,
something interesting that happened in that period. Now, because you're a customer service rep, I had interaction with a lot of businesses because I had B2B services. Now, guess what? A business gets their issue resolved on the phone, on a call. I'm a customer service rep, and then they're asking me, how much does Oya now pay you?
I'm trying to poach you. Oh,
wow. It happened so many times and it was crazy. And then one even went as far as, did they pay you up to this amount? Did they pay you up to that amount? Just tell me, let's have a meeting. When do you finish work? And all of that. So, and again, the vision of Oya now was made clear to everybody. And it's one thing for someone to tell you, don't worry, we'll take care of you. And they really keep to their words and take care of you. And like I said in the beginning, the whole ownership thing. When you work in an organization where you're seeing everything happen in real time, you're able
You feel
to,
like you're part of it.
you're a part of it. So I didn't feel the need to like allow myself be coached. And I just walked through until it was time for me to transition to some other part.
Some other part. Okay. And then, okay, when she asked of evolution and all of that, something struck my mind, yeah. And this is something that a lot of us struggle with a lot. You know, at some point in your life, it will be that okay, it will seem that you're getting to the right path, and on another note or on another thought, you'll be like, okay, why? What am I doing? It's more like I'm not getting this to right. Like, it's just a personal thing that happens. I think to maybe different individuals. I don't know if it has happened to lots of persons. But then, at what point or at what would it be right for me to say at what age? Because people struggle with this a lot, and they tell you, no, I'm so confused at this time. I don't know. Maybe I got my breakthrough at so and so time when everything started aligning, and then you had to know, okay, fine. I need to get my purpose right. I need to be focused on this. I need to follow this. I need to write my scale of preference. You know, at some point in your life, while growing up, why you've not understood these things, why your parents taught you, you learned from school, you had people you worked with, and all of that. There are certain age, or is that at a certain age you'd be like, let me just try every single thing and see which one works. And then they keep failing. And at what point or at what age did you realize, and then you had to own up to it, to be like, okay, fine, I think I've found my purpose. This is what I'm going to do. These are the courses I'll run that will align or resonate with what I have to do as a person. Because finding that part is maybe, let's say, quite difficult sometimes, or maybe some people are lucky, as you've said, like you got lucky, you understood this early. So it's just an interesting thing I needed to ask. So.
Okay, so I think this is not necessarily an age thing.
Okay.
It's a times and seasons
Time
thing
and season, okay.
that also translates to the foundation that's been given you. Like I said, even in the beginning, it's a conditioning. And truly, it's not anybody's fault. When you get into this world, you're like a blank slate.
Seriously.
Then you begin to interact with your parents, your friends, your
teachers.
So it's like a combination of different thoughts coming from different angles and hitting you.
Yeah.
Some would come in and stick if it comes long enough or frequently enough, and some will come in and fly away. So for me, my chaotic period was even in my secondary school.
Okay, wow.
Yes, I think because one story comes to mind. So when I was in, I think it was this. I think it's SS2 before SS3 when you choose your subject, what you're going to do. So I was the kind of child that I would go to get some counseling on a regular basis.
Oh wow!
Not because I was some bad egg that they needed to discipline or give caution and all that. No, they were calling me because it was obvious that I was confused. I had chemistry, biology, physics, literature, French.
Oh no!
Okay, we're confused. Really.
You just called this, and it's as if it's me. You're I was confused at some point. No, seriously,
Economics, geography, like, and you're like, come on, just decide. Are you going to be a science student
or an art student, or
you
go for commercial student?
What exactly? And say, I like them all. In fact, this physics and chemistry you're seeing here is because they said you have to be a medical doctor. That's the only reason. If not, give me all the other subjects. At least those ones. Say, you said it's the core one. Yeah. Those three ahead. Let me now add the rest. In fact, it was so crazy that when I wrote YX, I wrote French. But by the time it was time to write NECO, for some reason I didn't say for my French in NECO. I went and wrote economics instead of French. I think it was French or economics. They usually had these two options. Yeah. And again, interestingly, by the time I got to the university, I studied agricultural economics and extension. So guess what? I used my YX and my NECO and I made them together to get my clearance done. Why? Because I had French in my YX and I had economics in NECO. And imagine if I didn't do that economics, right? I would have been at a loss for one subject to get to the university. So I think again, it all comes together. Like I will always say, I'm a person of faith. I feel like that's how God just does it. Even when you seem misaligned, you feel like you're so far from the truth, or so far from the right path you're supposed to be on. God has the shortest distance between where you are and where you need to be. And just literally pick you up like a chess piece and drop you on where you're supposed to be. True. So that's how it is. So for me, I didn't necessarily have all these midlife crises, 20s crises. But again, when you're ready, when you're sure that you've missed it. And for me, spirituality is not necessarily about any one religion. I think almost every religion likes to pray. Yeah?
Yeah.
So God made all of us. Just realign with God and tell Him. So what do I do now? What's the next point of my life? And beyond that, there should be a sort of introspection inward. Like ask yourself, what do I do best? Where do I function best? Again, it brings us back again to that mindset over money, because
mindset over
if
money.
all you're thinking about is money,
You never.
you're willing to take any gig, you're willing to do anything, you're willing to kill anybody, like your eyes are red, they shook eye everywhere. So it's important that for me, I didn't have so much of a midlife crisis. I was again fortunate enough to have done the whole train of a child in the way she go, thanks to my parents and my siblings. But again, it's important that when you get to that point, you seek for guidance, you seek for mentorship, you learn. And again, beyond just learning, you have to understand the future of work. Yeah, we're moving very fast. It pains me when I see people talking about AI and saying things like it's occultic, it's
Occultic.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
I've heard people say things like, "Oh, AI is from the devil." AI is.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, how do you even know what AI is? Do you even know how impactful it is? For the longest time, I didn't have an EA, right? And AI was my EA. I'd have conversations with AI. And thank God it has this voice to text option. So I'm literally speaking to it like it's someone that is close to me. And whether it's Pidgin, it's Igbo, it's English, you can relate. You don't have to have any language barrier. AI will tell you, no worry, no vex. I go run am for you, sharp. And I'm like, this is AI. Right? This is the AI you guys are talking about on undermining like this. So that's just it. Just God, yourself, know what it is you really want to do. And again, if you don't know, ask questions. Get the counsel of wise people who are older than you. Again, it's not necessarily about age again, because I've seen a lot of older persons that do not really have it together. So you see someone who looks like the picture of the future you'd like for yourself. And even if you cannot align with them physically, find their works. In fact, I think at some point last year, I typed in certain 3 women, their names on YouTube, and I was consuming everything they've ever done. If it's a seminar, if it's a conference, if it's a keynote speech, I was just going back to back. Now, I may not have even the time to sit in their classes. Maybe they host maybe a conference, or maybe they have this program that they're running. Those I can pay for, that I can afford.
Masterclasses.
But if I do not have these ones are things that you're on transit, you're going to work, you can listen. And thank God for YouTube. YouTube is such a great place. So if you can also get physical access to them, fine. But just find people. It could be a spiritual authority that can help you just realign yourself and get in the right path. All right.
Okay, maybe one last question. No, maybe one last question, because I'm actually enjoying the conversation. I really don't want it to end right now. But maybe can you maybe tell me at what point or maybe you could just share a breakthrough moment when your mindset led to a new shift and opportunity for financial growth.
All right. So just recently, I became general manager of a real estate company that was coming to Abuja.
Wow.
And I remember that before they got in, I just received the information about their work and what do we call it now? Vacancies, right? So they're trying to set up in Abuja and they're trying to recruit and all that. So I just received it and I looked at it. I was like, oh, this is good. Get that across to those who I think I could fit. Because when I looked at it, again, talking about money, the money did not seem like what I was interested in. It wasn't appealing to me. I was like, okay, I'll find people who could be interested. And I actually did start looking for people. But over a few days, for some reason, my mind just went towards other experiences and just anything else that could come from that opportunity. And again, beyond just my mind, I'd like to say that the Holy Spirit just nudged me to say, this is actually your job. Why are you leaving it on the table for someone else? But again, looking at the money and looking at my current pay at my previous place of work and the fact that I have a lot more leverage with time on my job, this is something that's going to make me maybe send me out of my house a lot more. This is something I really want to do. But I had to overcome the whole money thing, and I embraced the mindset of positivity and growth with new experiences. And I got into it. And today I can say for a fact that it's not easy at all. It's nothing like I've done before. Of course, all of my experiences and expertise come into play, but it's a completely new territory. But every single day, I keep seeing the reason why I said yes. And I'm grateful that I said yes. And I'm giving the best of my ability at the new role. So if I had thought about the money, I would not have been there. And the experiences I've gained, the exposure, the experience I've added would not have been there. And again, interestingly, now even looking like even my income in this one is going to be better than the other one. Because now the prospects are even better.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's just it. And this just happened very recently. Because if I'd been looking at that money, I would not have shown up anywhere close to them. But I did, and I'm seeing the results, and it's looking very good.
That's great.
I literally feel like I just went to therapy and found out at the same time. This has been very fulfilling.
Yeah, true.
Okay, I want to do a little something with you here. I like to call it like a game segment, but it's in line with our topic here. And I like to call this one maybe truth or trash. I'm working on the names I give to this game. Sorry. So basically, I would read out some common money beliefs to you. If it's true, it's truth. If you don't agree with it, it's trash. So, all right, let's try this. So the first one I have here is money is the root of all evil.
Trash.
Oh, you tell us why.
Money is not the root of all evil. I think the Bible even says something like
The
money
love
is.
of money is.
It's not just about the love. Money is your defense.
Mm-hmm.
Money they stop nonsense.
Trichan.
It cannot be the root
Hope you're
of,
getting
it
this.
cannot be the
Yes.
root of all evil. Right? The truth is that anything you abuse is obviously. So that abuse of money without intent of making it or just running through it, that's the root of all evil. But money in itself is a very good thing. Money is good.
Sure.
And interestingly, something that I think I heard from one of my coaches, she money is better. So like the money made by a woman, she money is good money.
Okay, I'm definitely going to need more explanation.
She money is she money is good money.
Let's hold that knowledge.
She money
Is good money.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so second statement. You need money to make money.
Yeah, true. You need money to make money. But again, this will take me a little off of just money as one currency. You know, we have several other currencies, your spirituality, time, relationships, your energy, your attention, and the money legal tender itself. So you need money to make money. If you had to, you know how you said money is a mindset? Yeah. You can also say relationship is money.
People say time is money.
Yeah, time is money. Relationship is money.
money.
It's a currency. So you need money to make money. So it depends on what kind of money, what kind of currency are we talking about now? So is it a relationship, or is it legal tender, or is it your spirituality, banking on God for more ideas, divine direction, wisdom? So
And when they say relationship is money, not
That's very important.
I just have to do this. You should not get the wrong message. You pick it, but don't get the wrong one.
Okay, so next statement: rich people don't sleep; they hustle 24/7.
that's not true.
Okay.
I think rich people build a system around the things that they do.
So the money just works for them.
Yeah, so the money works for them, and it's not even possible to hustle 24/7.
True. Without rest.
Without rest, it's impossible. You're going to break down.
You just go out.
And it also shows that you're not wise.
Okay.
And most rich people are wise. Okay, well, let's say rich people, rich, wealthy, relative. Some people are rich, but they're not wealthy.
You're not wealthy, yeah.
Exactly. So, yes.
Okay. So next statement. This one. Okay. It says self-care is a luxury. Is that truth or trash?
Trash. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's something you have to do for yourself.
Yeah, true.
If you don't take care of yourself will force you to be taken care of.
True.
Yeah.
So when you break down, nobody's going to tell you
exactly
What to do.
Yeah. When you break down, nobody's going to tell you. And now it's going to be unplanned, and it makes it worse. Because now you have been in the middle of some big deal that you're trying to close, and then you just break down. And then the clients are calling you, and now that money doesn't get billed.
True.
So rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity, an absolute necessity.
Thank you. So the next one, if you think rich, you become rich. Truth or trash?
Yeah, truth. If you think rich, you become rich. Like we said, we're talking about the mentality, the mindset that allows you to get rich. So some people think thinking rich is just about thinking about big figures, big money.
Oh, some people just do that. They don't actually put in the work.
Self-care is thinking rich. That's a rich mindset.
Sure.
That you take care of yourself ahead of time so you don't break down.
You don't break down. Yeah.
Right. So they just even gaining knowledge is rich thinking, because you understand that knowledge can translate to cash for you later.
Yeah.
So all of this rich thinking rich thinking is like say the same mindset we're talking about. So it's the mindset you have about getting rich, getting wealthy.
Yeah.
So
Talking about self-care, yeah, before you hint on to the next question, because I know you're ready. Talking about self-care, I don't know, but a lot of people just have a problem with it. When you tell them, I'm trying to maybe go for a general checkup, or I'm going to the spa, I want to do this, I have to do
Like, you're
this.
wasting
So
money.
the follicles of my hair need this protein, and then you're trying to get it. Like, what?
And then you're like, you're wasting money.
You're wasting. Why are you
Money,
doing
like,
this? You're not supposed to do that. Why do you even think towards that access when you know you're not earning so much to take care of that? Like, are you sure you're not being extravagant? I get that a lot, though.
all right, so let me give an analogy. When a person has a car, they have to take care of that car.
Sure.
Yeah.
They have to maintain the car. And people who are prudent know that they have to go for maybe monthly servicing,
Yeah.
weekly servicing, or maybe bi-monthly or tri-monthly. If you can do that for a car, how much more a human being that when you buy
yourself,
buy, not like there's nothing that anybody can do about it. A car can break down and go to the mechanic, they'll repair it, but someone still feels the need to like maintain it consistently to make sure it's in good working condition to move them from one place to another. You, who is the person being moved, how is it that your own self-care is now undermined?
Seriously,
It
that should
doesn't
be
make
something
sense.
that people should really
Again,
pay
it's
more
that
attention
poverty
to and
mentality.
correct.
Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
yes,
Yeah, that's
you-
where poverty mentality
you
comes
know
in.
something?
You're right.
You're putting too much importance to the money that's supposed to service your life.
Thank you. This word.
So,
I
Copied.
feel like you just dropped the mic. Yeah, let's just go home.
That's true. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
being so.
Wow. This has been very fulfilling. I enjoyed this episode like so much. I hope you
It's
guys
so
listening
impactful,
enjoyed
yeah.
as well. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, leave us a comment, and share to everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Really, unlearning poverty is a journey, not a switch.
Exactly.
I learned that actually. And thank you so much for coming on board. You've really lectured us so much, and we would love to do this again with you. So maybe we could set up another topic where you come on board to talk and educate us. She was really preaching, and I learned a lot because
I went to school.
I actually got lots of points and then principles to self-life, building wellness as well as purpose and wealth. Thank you so much for coming on board, and we really appreciate you here.
You're welcome. And it's my absolute pleasure being here. I had fun getting ready for this conversation, and I also had fun having this conversation.
I'm dropping gems on gems because we love every bit of it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I've been so inspired, and I'm sure a lot of women out there or a lot of people out there are inspired by your journey and your lectures too, because it was really so impactful. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
No, behind the cameras, don't worry.
I think you have a lot of wisdom to pick. Don't worry.
All right then, guys. See you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.